I'll just continue if needed.
Okay, great. So we'll call the December 21 meeting to order. We'll do a roll call here quick. Brian Amer, I'm here. John Clifford is not here. Joy, I don't see Joy. Joy is not here tonight.
Not yet.
Steve is here, right? Yep. Steve is here.
Yes.
Brian is here.
Yep, I'm here.
Brian. Donovan, I don't see Donovan. Donovan's not here tonight. Rodney, is Rodney here? Nope. Manny.
Yep,
Manny
I'm
is
here.
Manny is here. Great. And David is here.
I'm here.
Thanks for joining, David. Yeah, nice to see everybody. Great. So we have a quorum, I think, just barely. So we'll get started. Are there any adjustments to the agenda from anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Approval of the minutes from last month. I looked them over briefly. I didn't see any issues. Does anybody see any corrections that need to be made to the last month's minutes? Okay, great. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, David. Brian seconds. All in favor of approving the last month's minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. And I just saw we have Joy who joined us, so we can
Yes.
add her to the list of attendees.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, sorry. Technical difficulties over here.
No problem. Thanks for joining. Okay, the next agenda item are the citizen comments. Of course, we had some citizen comments, but they came in a little bit late, right? So we shouldn't enter them into the record, right?
Correct.
Kristen?
So, yeah, I emailed them to everybody so that everyone has a copy of them, and we will make them part of the record. But just because they did not meet the deadline, we're not going to read them aloud as citizen comments. And I did let both individuals know that they would be shared with you and part of the record. But seemed like the most fair way to do it instead of sometimes letting them in, and especially because they just came in today.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. So
But
number.
no other citizen comments besides those two that we received today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next one is the introduction of the new city manager, Keith Campbell.
Thank
Keith,
you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be at your meeting tonight. As the new city manager, the goal is to meet people and to see the boards and the commissions that are active in the community. So with that, I just wanted to come and attend your meeting and say hello, and look forward to working with all of you and to being part of the community. Happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Yeah, Keith, can you tell us a little bit about your background? I know you came from another part of Oregon. I don't recall which city. Can you? Right?
Yeah, no. Originally born and raised in Kansas. Went to high school. I am not one of the most famous alumni from the high school. I graduated from the same high school as Paul Rudd and Jason Sudeikis, who are Ant-Man and Ted Lasso.
Nice.
They graduated sort of in between me, one a little bit older, one a little bit younger than me. So went to the University of Kansas, and from there went to work in, got my degree in business administration and went to work for Sprint and a couple of e-commerce web development companies. And then e-commerce kind of fell apart, and I said, what do I want to do? And went back and got my master's degree from the University of Kansas and got in local government. My first city manager job was in state in Oregon, was there about 8 years, and have now been with the city about 2. I'm married with 2 kids, a stepdaughter who's 24, a daughter who's 11, and my wife and I will be celebrating 13 years this January 18th. So pretty soon. And hopefully I got the 13 right. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, as I think about it. So good.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Appreciate being here.
Okay, great. So the next agenda item is the Cedar Creek Trail. Always a highlight of our meetings here. Is Jason on? There's Jason. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah.
I'm here and I'll keep coming monthly until we get this project wrapped up. So I will be here for, I'm predicting, at least 5 more meetings to get the project done. I'll talk about the immediate schedule and touch on the overall schedule, and then hit on a couple of things that I'm hoping we can talk about at the next Parks Board meeting. Contractors still working away, waiting for those floodplain waters to rise high enough to where they can't physically get some of the work done. They're now focused on, or still focused on, the major subsurface excavation work, the foundation work, really any of the work that would be impacted by the saturated soils. They hope to have all of that done by the end of this calendar year. They're likely going to take December 20th through January 2nd off, so we'll have a little bit of quiet time, not much, and then return on January 2nd. Overall schedule, the contractor just submitted a new schedule at last week's construction meeting. We're reviewing that right now. We have some questions about it, but I'll kind of go over some of the challenges that we discussed before, and then some of them are new, and it might shed some light on why the contractor can't just forge ahead and hammer the project out and finish it in February. And of course, we had the tree removal and brush clearing that was bid under the same contract. I think that's a learning lesson for the city. We want to remove all of our trees from August through February and do that via a separate contract. Otherwise, it kind of pigeonholes our ability to get projects done. We had the regular in-stream work window of July 1st to September 30th, which then was kind of cut by 45 days by the bird window too. So that was cut down from July 1st to September 30th to August 15th to September 30th. And we got a 3-week extension on that, which is expired. And they were able to complete all the major work in the in-stream work restricted areas, which is good. And now the current one that's impacting the project is the rising creek or floodplain elevations. And the reason they can't just forge ahead and complete the whole project is they physically cannot complete some of it. It's going to, at some point, there's going to be water inundating the actual trail path where they're going to pave it. They're going to need to compact it, things like that. So there's going to be areas where they cannot physically complete the project. And it was bid as an all or nothing project, which is typical for roads and highways. So that means if they have to get sign off to pave the project, it all has to have rock placed and be compacted. So once those floodwaters get into those areas, the water has to recede and dry out so they can actually get sign off to pave certain portions of the project. So we have to have those floodwaters recede so they can finish all of the project. So it kind of makes it impossible to deliver the project once the floodplains have rised high enough. So we're currently working with the contractor to split it up into 2 main segments and get the portion from Meineke Parkway finished first, with the crosswalk along Alexander Way up to the first curb ramp there at Vintner and Alexander, and then allows them to pave that portion of it and then wait for the floodwaters to recede and then finish off the greenway after that happens, which we don't know, how the creek elevations are going to change in the coming months. But right now we're pushing the project to get done, the contractor to get done as soon as possible. But just throwing around times with the project delivery team, we're really seeing this project get done a little bit before Memorial Day, substantially complete with all of it done. And that's just due to the way it was bid and all of the environmental restrictions. So I will have a much clearer picture of that at the January meeting, but that kind of explained it to me a little bit more, that if some of the projects inundated, then pretty much all of the projects inundated contractually. I'm sure we could go in and pay more money to have the contractor split it up, but we really don't have a whole lot of money or authority to do that since it's an ODOT project. So Memorial Day, if anyone asks, we're open to the public by Memorial Day, and I can hopefully at least single stamp that claim at the January meeting. Sorry, I'm losing my breath here. Talking, I say, for the next Parks Board meeting in January, in addition to that schedule, I think we should kind of start talking about developing a list of additional projects that Parks Board supports. And I know we talked about feeder trails and we have the waste collection bags and things like that and signage. So I'll work with Kristen and Julia kind of to develop an initial list and cost estimates and things. And we can get going on that ahead of the city's budget cycle since we're about 6 months out on that. Also think we could do another tour of the project in spring when things are graded out, and then we can kind of see where things are going, and rock will at least be down by that time. And also, if anyone noticed, the webpage didn't get updated last month, so we will be getting that updated tomorrow. And that's the gist of my update. And if you have any questions, feel free to email or ask away now.
But Jason, how's the boardwalk coming? The boardwalk section of the trail.
Yeah, they're just getting started on that right now. So it's interesting because the in-water work area isn't at the boardwalk. We're actually sprawling or spanning the creek, and it's further up by the senior center. So they're able to get going on that this week a little bit. So you should see some work on that boardwalk here through December until those floodplain waters rise high enough to where they can't get in there. But if that doesn't happen, they'll keep going at it. So you'll see them down by the condos, that swimming pool area, actually working on the boardwalk next week and this week.
Right. And now that we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here, maybe Kristen, as a agenda topic, in the spring sometime, maybe we can start talking about what the ribbon cutting ceremony is going to be. If we're going to have a little,
You read my mind. I know. I was like,
parade or
start
kids
planning a party. Yeah, this has been going on for so long. We need one heck of a good celebration, ribbon cutting, and opens the trail. So yeah, I think sooner than later, as soon as we're comfortable kind of picking a target date and don't feel like we're going to miss it, I think that we put that on the calendar and start thinking about what we want to do, if we want to just have people be able to get out and walk and bike and
Lifetime Achievement Award, I guess, for me.
And where we do it, in the parking lot, maybe down at Cedar Creek. That's probably going to be the best place, or down at Stella Olson.
Yeah, have a big
down by where I fell, Russell. We'll mark that spot. That might be the best place where you can gather a larger group.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that too. And I'm trying to say earlier than Memorial Day, but this is just kind of and the project manager for the consultant that we're wanting that to be kind of what you're saying is a grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony done before Memorial Day, really. It's got to get done by then.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Thanks.
Can we get those big cartoon scissors?
What's that?
Can we get the big scissors?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have some, don't we? We got those. Yeah, we got some gold
the
scissors.
big gold ones.
Well, thanks. I'll talk to you in about 4 weeks and appreciate it. Any questions,
David.
call or email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so the next agenda item is the SWOT report. Kristen, do you want to display that, or you want me to show it, or just want to talk through it, or how do you want to work that?
I think does everybody have a copy of that? I emailed that out, the SWOT report. We could just go over each one. And Tammy's on. Tammy and I will take notes. I should have mentioned really quick, I can't remember if we knew at the last meeting that Kelsey, who has usually joined us, has taken a job with another corporation. She's moved down to Newburgh and is working for ADEC down there. So not moved, just her job is moved. So she left the city. And so Tammy, who helped us several years ago before Kelsey, is back helping in interim. but she's not on camera. She was actually home ill today. So thank you for signing off, Tammy. I wasn't necessarily expecting you to, but luckily when these are recorded, it's a lot easier to go back and take notes. But so that's why you don't see Kelsey tonight. But yeah, if we want to just go through the different items. Oh, she put a smiley face on. Tammy did.
Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah. So if we just want to go through them and we'll take notes, and then I can send out kind of the final draft. And if I don't hear any objections, I will submit it to Sylvia.
Okay, so great. So if everybody has, of course, the strengths for the 2021 annual board and commission report to the city council, our strengths are listed as community involvement, an updated parks master plan, and the great trail system on the south side of town, the south side of the highway. If there are any thoughts or anybody want any changes to these, just either raise your hand or speak up and let me know if you want anything changed. Then we'll just kind of step through these. It's similar, of course, to what it was last year. Not too many changes from last year. So going forward, our weaknesses.
Hey, Brian.
I
thought maybe since we're close, to the end of this portion of the Cedar Creek Trail program, because it's part of a big regional trail system. I know it's a trail on the south side, but maybe listed as a separate item might be. I think it's going to be a major catalyst to future extensions of a trail system. It might even be, like the model of what we do in the future. I think it's going to be so amazing when they're finished with it that we're going to want more of it. And I think that's a great, and besides it gives, Jason's been here like 1,800 times, updating us on that trail. I think it's going to be a great strength because we have some really nice natural areas just right in the middle of the city, and we're going to be able to walk right by them. So just a thought. Yeah. You're the chair, so you're the board.
We have the trail system on the south side of town. We could highlight the upcoming Cedar Creek Trail as a part of that, maybe. Yeah, that's a good thought. Any other thoughts on the bullet points there on the strengths?
I'm just curious, when we list the Cedar Creek Trail, is there anything unique about its design that we call out as a strength, specifically? I don't know.
Just the fact that it finally got done.
Right on. Good enough for me.
It's part of the Ice Age Trail, that it's a partnership.
Yeah, overall connectivity. Yeah, and the Ice Age Tonkin Trail.
Well, the fact that it took 11 agencies, 3 of which were federal agencies, to get it approved, and just all of the legwork and time that staff has put on it. I mean, it is a monumental achievement. It is another trail, but it's one that the city spearheaded.
Maybe we should mention that it's going to be fully ADA compliant, which is great. Something we should hang our hat on, right? But anybody, hopefully anybody. Yeah. However you move around, you can get on this trail. Yeah.
And the federal funds. I mean, it's been challenging working with the federal funds, but that's also a huge accomplishment to have that. The mayor actually helped secure that the first time that he was mayor.
Yeah. Great. Any other thoughts on strengths? Okay. So moving on, the weaknesses we have identified are again the same. I think that as they were last year, are pretty much the same. We don't have as much park development on the north side of 99 as we should. Overall lack of field space and gym space due to the change in the school district IGA that we've talked about before. That we used to have the more of the school fields that we could work with, and now we don't have that access, and low connectivity between the different sides of 99W, which of course we're working to help fix with that pedestrian bridge, but that's still got to be figured out, of course. So,
Real quick question, maybe for
Yeah.
Kristen. My experience on the board, we had really good connection with the school district. Is that, it's obviously changed. Is there really, in a quick nutshell, what happened?
So basically, they decided that they wanted to do all of the scheduling of the gyms and the fields. And we no longer have an IGA with them. So we used to have access and work with all of the youth sport organizations to make sure that everyone was able to participate and get the time that they needed on the fields and do all of that. And they are handling all of it now. So
Okay. Yeah.
as
Thank
a
you for that
result,
data.
and just as a result, we also did some of the maintenance for them, and we're no longer doing that either. It was kind of like, well, we're not going to necessarily come do the maintenance if we're not doing the fields and the gyms. So they've taken all of that over.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that
no problem.
update.
It's fairly recent, so it's a good, I mean, it happened last year, but it was implemented in the middle of COVID when nobody was using the fields or the gyms anyway. So this is the first school year that it's really gone into effect, and the school board is still talking. It has been talking about it and just had a work session on it recently. And I think there's definitely some mixed feelings in the community. So it's going to continue to be a topic of conversation is my guess.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate that because it used to be one of our strengths was our intergovernmental agreements with other agencies. So sorry
now
to move to the weakness.
Snyder Park, and that's it. We just have Snyder Park. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So any other questions about or comments about the weaknesses? Okay, so the opportunities, we have a grant for Veterans Park Memorial that I'm sure will be coming in the next year. I'm sure we'll be seeing that. We have on there partnerships that could lead to development and or programs. Really try to identify future parklands. And I think that's connected to the next point, consider preserving old growth trees when identifying future parklands. So that's something I think we should be focusing on, how do we identify where we should be focusing for future park opportunities, whether it's field space or whether it's natural space or anything like that we've, the citizen comment along those lines too, that we need to really try to focus on how do we identify what parts of the city we're going to keep as more natural areas and which ones we're going to develop into parks for sports or for recreation or whatever else. So any comments on the opportunities, anything we might have missed? Or
Mr. Chairman, I really do like that last one with preserving the old growth trees, but I think you kind of hit it on the head, as it should include unique natural areas that are, not just the old growth trees. I think there's more opportunity than just those. That's a great one, but there are some unique landscapes that do make great parks, and I think us keeping our eyes open for them are beneficial.
Yeah, we can clarify that more.
Yeah. So, maybe we should probably clarify for our group and a little more like what process do we go through to identify what's a city park, or how do we get more park areas? What process do we need to go through to, if we identify, hey, we want to have this area be a natural area, we want this area to be a park, what procedures do we need to go through to make that happen? Maybe we could, go through that in a little more detail in a future meeting.
Yeah, and I think that, taking a look again at the master plan and taking a look at what some of the requirements are for some of the parks and some of the natural areas. And as you recall, the master plan was a lot about connectivity as well. But I think that it would be great for us to have a work session, and we're doing this on the city side as well, just for where do we want to grow and where do we want to expand and what properties do we want to identify. But it would be a great exercise to go through with this group. Potentially after the first year, it would be, if we get to a point where we can meet in person again, it would probably be a little bit easier to do in person. But if not, we could throw a map up on the screen and just, eyeball some areas and look at what the needs are, and kind of give us some areas to focus on. But we are doing that internally as well, and we'll make sure that we're communicating that back with the Parks Board, but we're always open to suggestions and ideas as well.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, then the last section for the SWOT, of course, threats. As we've had before, we have lack of funding, and as we've talked about before, we don't have the IGA with the school district anymore, so that's something to identify as a threat. Then the next two bullet points, the next two sections are what are the 2 or 3 most significant accomplishments of the past year. Of course, we did the Parks and Rec Master Plan, which is a good feather in our cap there. We did purchase some land for future parks, the Red House acquisition, and major construction on the Cedar Creek Trail, as we talked about a bunch. So that's good to list as an accomplishment there. And then we have the goals for next year. We have the complete the parks SDC methodology analysis, and that's a funding item, right?
Yeah. So what that's going to do is take a look at our parks master plan and figure out what it's going to cost to build it out, essentially, and then that helps us assess development fees, system development charges, or system development fees for builders that are coming in. And along with that, we'll be evaluating what the market can support. So for right now, I believe it, David, I don't think it's changed since you went off the board. It was what, $6,800 per household or something like that we would collect each time a house was built. And then that goes into the SDC pot and is used for growth, parks development due to growth.
Yeah, as I recall, we were pretty good at that time with the region on our SDCs, and we kind of started talking about commercial ones, and that got real murky, because if you start raising those, then businesses don't want to come in. But for a while there in the, after the 2007-8, we had like 1 or 2 housing applications in a year. So we had virtually no money for quite a period of time. And so going back for just a moment onto the threats, I think the development, and I'm not sure how to word this right, but basically the developers versus the parkland use becomes an issue, because if they give up land for parks or we get it, then they don't get a build on it, and it costs them money. And so somewhere in there, it's a challenge for us to try and get, because a lot of times I know they'll donate land, but it's like the swamp land that you really can't do much with, and so we've got to have that money from the SDCs to buy some decent land. Occasionally you can pick up something, like we've got Stella Olson there. They probably couldn't have built down in there, but it's a challenge to find the happy medium, because probably the biggest attended meeting that we had, Christian, you might remember this one, was when a bunch of contractors showed up, other than the skate park one, but they were not happy that the map that we're still using now of the Brookman area had some ideas for just very general ideas that we needed some parks there, and they were just off their rockers mad because that would have cut into their profits very significantly. So it's just something we'll have to be aware of as we move forward.
I think that's a great idea to add that to threats. That's something that we're seeing right now. It's just a tricky a tricky balance.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not sure what the right wording is, but the idea, I think everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Can I add one other thing? Sorry. If we're done, if we finish that topic, I have another one.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. So I've just looking at this and it's been bothering me, probably just personal preference, that this lack of agreement with the school district's on here twice. For some reason, it's just like glaring at me. But part of that also, I feel like something that we've kind of discussed sometimes, and I feel like I hear it sometimes, on Facebook forums and just, out in the community, is the frustration that we don't have like a centralized rec body, or what you might call it, district. There we go. There's the word. And as my kids are now starting to get to the age where we are looking for those types of sports, and they're really hard to find if you don't know where to go or who to talk to, or there's no like Sherwood Parks and Rec that here's the soccer offerings, here's this offering. You kind of have to know which private club to go to, and when their deadline, soccer deadline was like June 1st. I mean, who's thinking about soccer in May? So stuff like that, just being able to understand. So I think that is an opportunity, or more of like a weakness that we have, where there's no rec district, and that makes it hard for people to get involved and know how to navigate the Sherwood youth sports scene, I guess is a way to say that. So I don't know if we want to include that, but I at least just wanted to.
And I think we had that on there last year, Joy, and it hasn't changed. So it's probably appropriate to leave it on. And as we were reading through, I was seeing that, we had that on there about the IGA twice, and I almost brought that up as well. Like, do we want to say it twice?
Yeah.
but
yeah.
But I would think, and please chime in, that maybe we put the weakness as not having a district or a traditional parks and recreation, and the threat being the relationship or not having access to the fields and the gyms, because it really limits what we can do, our programming.
Yeah.
More than, but we could flip-flop them if people feel strongly.
No, I'd agree with that, Kristen.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Joy. All right, great.
Should
So
we
then,
call out?
Yeah.
I was just thinking as Joy kind of brought that up, do we mention or say anything about the relationship we still have with the YMCA and just continued, partnership with the city and why? Or I don't know if that's more of a last year type of focus.
Well, I think that would be appropriate. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking that's a potential threat as well, meaning that contract is up in 2 years. So we only have a few years to figure out what's going to happen with that building, if they're going to want to continue their programs. It's an aging facility. So there's a lot to be talked about and thought about. I mean, yes, we definitely still have a partnership with them now, but that's something that is going to be a pretty big topic of discussion in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Russell, I feel like you were wanting to add something. You were leaning forward.
I could wait. I'm going to wait till my comments.
Okay. Do you agree, though, Russell? I mean, you've been involved in some of those just general conversations, but just
Don't get me started. I've already had that.
Okay.
That whole conversation. Yeah. And I'll bring you up to date as far as I know what's going on. So
I'm sure you know more than I do, but yes, I think that's a positive thing, is that partnership, but that's something that is looming out there as a potential threat. It is a threat. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, really great points. Any other comments? We just have the one section left here is the so please chime in if but the I think the only last thing is the goals for the upcoming year. And we talked about, the complete, the SCTC. Then we talked about Cedar Creek Trail, of course, a bunch. The Festival Plaza, that's what we talked about last month at our meeting. That's the Robin Hood parking lot there by Clancy's. We had a meeting about that. That was really good. We got some ideas that we tossed around. I think it's going to, if it comes to fruition, I think it's going to be a really nice space. Clean that dirt parking lot up now and turn it into something more artistic and more useful. Maybe get some, it'll be better for the Robin Hood Festival, better for the cruise in Sherwood, and better for maybe getting food carts in there on Saturdays during the farmers market days. So that'll be nice when that comes together. And then identifying, as we talked about, future parkland. So anything else anybody want to throw out for our goals for next year? Great. All right, great. So anything else for that topic? Yeah, we appreciate all the good comments there. That was really good discussion. Okay.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We'll make some adjustments and send it back out. And if you can just reply to me if you have any additional feedback or something doesn't sound right, we'll tweak it.
Yeah. Is there, because there's probably not going to be the dinner this year, right? Because of the situation that everything we're still in, we're probably not going to get together again like we did in past years, right? Correct.
And I have not heard if there's going to be plans for some type of a virtual meeting or not, but there was not plans for an in-person get together.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
But regardless, it will be shared with
okay,
council. They'll utilize it for their goal setting session.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so number 8 on the agenda is the parks maintenance update with Harry.
Good evening, everyone.
Harry.
Yes, thank you. So as way with parks maintenance, we've been doing, we just got our glue lambs in a week ago for the Stella Olson Bridge. There's some glue lambs that have got some rotting spots. So we had to get those specialty made. Those aren't just something you go pick up at the lumber store. So those are in. We're going to be getting those installed. Also, the concrete shaves along the Stella Olson before the boardwalk, the concrete sections, we had those shaved, some trip hazards. So that's been completed and done. That part as well. This time of year, everyone's seen the downtown trees, everything's lit up. Parks spent a lot of time doing that. So now it's trying to keep them all lit during water and electricity. Just don't go together. So we're on top of that. Last weekend, I'm sure everyone saw the holiday festival went good. Trees up, everything's lit. Parade went good. Thank you for the volunteers at Public Works and volunteers at Sherwood Robin Hood Festival for helping with that. And with the parks wise, continue on. We're in our winter maintenance. We have a lot of deep, heavy pruning we're trying to get done. Clean up the leaves. We're almost got all the leaves cleaned up. So then continuing on with our winter maintenance for the parks is where we're at.
And a big thank you to Harry and his crew for all of the work for the tree lighting ceremony and getting the tree. It takes a lot of time, and I think you said it took 3 or 4 people decorating, but it's Harry's first year getting to oversee that process. So thank you. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, great job. Look great.
Yeah, thanks, Harry.
Thank you. I'll pass it on to the crew.
Hey, Harry, where do we get the tree? Where does it come from? Does somebody donate it, or does the city go buy one?
No, yeah, we had to buy it. It actually came from Sleigh Bells in Sherwood, though. So it's a local tree from the property up there at Sleigh Bells, Mr. McCoy's property up there. So, yeah.
How tall is it?
The tree, the tree total was 33 foot tall. So, but we had to take about 3 foot off it because our bucket truck only goes 30 foot to decorate. So And the tree we got, the base was so thick it wouldn't fit in our into our anchor, so we actually had to take it down to where it's a good sized tree.
Yeah.
It took
is.
13 of us
It's a
to put it
great
on a
tree.
trailer. So
It's a great looking tree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. Thanks, Harry. Appreciate it. All right, number 9, Russell. Council update.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And so many of the things that I felt like I wanted to talk about tonight, the Parks Board is already saying, and I'm loving that. I'm just loving that. So I would just make a suggestion to the Parks Board that, I was trying to figure out, and it was Brian who was asking, I think, what do we do as a Parks Board? How do we affect where parks go? Well, if you go to the website, it's a pretty extensive list of items on the Parks Board page that talks about what your responsibilities are. One of which is make recommendations to the City Council regarding long-range plans, goals, and objectives for the acquisition and development of new city parks. Yeah, so have a work session. Where do you want to park? Push it onto the council. Push it hard onto the council. You get public support. It's hard for those elected officials to say no. You got elected, kind of public support. Also, develop and recommend to the city administration and the city council annual budget appropriations supporting and prioritizing parks and recreation operational capital programs. So capital programs would be like Jason was talking about. Let's talk about where we're going to spend our money. Yeah, absolutely. Where do you think we should? We have the Parks Master Plan. One of the things that I was thinking about now that this is done is at your discretion, Chair, is have a work session. Have like a Saturday morning, breakfast is brought in by Kristen. She bakes a little eggs, a little whatever. Maybe she doesn't have to do it. But, if you can get together and dig into the Parks Master Plan, what is next? What is the next thing you're going to do? Now the Parks Master Plan is done. You don't know what is it you want to do next. Go through. You should know that plan inside and out, and then make recommendations, and the mayor has encouraged the boards to, high as the sky, go for it. What do you want to see? We wouldn't have a bridge going over 99 by the YMCA unless, some people said, why not? Why can't we do that? Why can't we get some funding? We have some people in Salem willing to donate a few $1 million if we can get them convinced. I just feel like, what do you really want? And I'm not talking like, small things. I think Jason's list was very cute little things. No, big stuff. What's the big stuff you want? And David said it. I'm only pointing at David because he's on the bottom corner of my screen. But David said it perfectly. There is this sort of unwritten, I remember that whole conflict when the Brookman suggested master plan came out because we had to have something that, because Metro said we had to have something. And I agree. And I want to read something. And Julia Hyduke's not on the call, is she? Okay, good. Don't tell her I said this. But one of the items on the website says the Parks Board consider land use planning issues as they relate to parks and use of landscaped areas and or parks dedicated by new subdivisions and construction. That sounds to me like you have a say. And I remember last month, again, I'm not trying to say anything against Julia. She does her thing and she follows the law to the letter. So I know we're never going to get in trouble. But I feel like, no. I don't necessarily want the developers to tell us where they're going to put their park, and it's not just because of Neil Shannon and his buddy who lives next door, Dave Sweeney. Yeah, I know. I can't believe if he's listening, he's just going to kill me when he hears that. It's not just because they live at the end of this road and they're feeling like what's happening on the other side is going to affect them. That's not what this is about. They're very concerned as citizens about, and not just old growth, but just about the natural areas, just about, what are we as a city, what are we doing to get in front of those things? Last month, I emailed and talked to Julia and said, hey, do we have inspectors going over there? Are they getting too close to Cedar Creek? Are they really, is everything copacetic? And we have citizens on the ground with tape measures and video cameras, and they're very concerned. And I don't think we should ignore that. I think that as a parks board, you should weigh in on, okay, Brookman Master Plan, let's go take a walk out there. Hey, look at this property over here. This might be a great potential. These people are interested in selling, those people aren't. Why not? Absolutely. Same thing, when the Sherwood West concept plan starts to wrap up, I think who's the liaison from the board to that? Do we have somebody on the board who's liaison to that? I can't remember. I don't know there was one from every board, was it? It was more like, yeah. But when that gets kind of wrapped up, and I think they're pretty close, I think the Parks Board should really, really, really look at the Sherwood West concept plan. And you have the right. I couldn't find a charter for the Parks Board, but right on the website, it says it's one of your jobs is to make those kinds of recommendations to the city. So please don't be quiet about it. Absolutely speak up and have those discussions and really, really dig into the master plan and what is it that you would like to see. The squeaky wheel gets the park. That's how it works. So I'm all for that. Okay, there's my speech on that. Also, I forgot to talk to Jason about this, but maybe I wonder if is there any sort of like a trails club in Sherwood? I was thinking if there's some sort of a nonprofit group and they do all the trail walking. When the Cedar Creek Trail gets finished, maybe some of those wayfinding signs and those kinds of small little things, maybe like the Friends of the Sherwood Police Board and all those stuff that they get for the officers. I mean, maybe they could come up with some fundraising or just extra stuff, and even then I think the Parks Board should weigh in on those kinds of things. I thought it was genius that Brian suggested we have like a big party. What a great idea. Yes, and the parking lot down there is a perfect space for it, and we get like literally we get regional news coverage. We get our representative to come down. I just absolutely think that's a great idea. This is a big deal. So I think it's a great idea. Let's see, what else? The school board. Oh my gosh, 20 years. Kristen's in the heyday, 20 years. And then boom, the door is shut. It just feels that way. Well, it's a new school board. So I have encouraged Tim Rosner, who's the council liaison to the school board, to talk to some people. Does the current board feel differently than the previous board? I don't know. I really don't know. But maybe not this school year, but maybe we could start figuring out, is there something that we could do? Is there some kind of an IGA we could come up with so we could continue? I don't know what that is, because, we were pretty much whatever you want, we'll do. Just let us know. And they just wanted to do it all by themselves. Okay, I totally get that. But I feel like, I know that their first responsibility is to the kids, but I feel like 20 years where we had literally, I heard about Sherwood and the ball fields here before I ever moved here. It was just regionally, you wanted a big tournament, you came to Sherwood, because we had really nice fields and the equipment was, and I'm not saying that's all going to waste. I'm saying that's definitely was a strength that we had for so long. And so, okay, maybe we're out of sync a little bit, but, if the Parks Board, wants to see that fostered, instead of asking about it, email President Rosner and say, hey, dude, maybe not dude, but hey, President Rosner, what do we need to do to get that? Or reach out if you know one of the board members at the school board, reach out to them as well. Hey, what do we need to do? We just need one person on the board who's willing to speak up and start. And it can be whatever it is that it's going to be. So YMCA. Okay, yeah, Kristen's not wrong. 2 years-ish. And I personally, I don't speak for the whole council, but I have really greatly worried about that. And Tim Rosner and Kim Young are sort of she is the liaison to the YMCA board. Although I don't think they're meeting now. I think they they got rid of the local board, and I'm not sure, but that has changed. I know the YMCA is having their own issues. A lot of recreational agencies are, but yeah, I agree. I think the council is aware. We're not paying attention to that. We're very interested in doing something with the YMCA organization. We just need to. It's such a tough time to do it, but know that I'm pushing the counselors on the council that I, talking to, and I've talked to, Keith and Joe before him, and I said, listen, I do not want to get to the end of this 2-year period and realize, I'm not saying one way or the other, but what if they decided it's not going to work out for us? We can't make it pencil, and then we have nothing. We have Brian and Steve and David going down and running the YMCA. No, I don't. We have to come up with a plan. What's plan B? So that's going to be, I think, a huge talking point going into January of next year. That's moving way up on my list. I feel like economic development is moving along, and we have the new urban renewal district is in place now. I feel like some things have been done which will help us economically in the area. But there's some other kinds of things that make living in Sherwood so wonderful that we want to make sure that we don't mess up on that. I think I have just one more thing. It was let's see, coming up tomorrow night, probably the only meeting. I don't see anything on the schedule for the 21st, but tomorrow night we're going to, it's a second hearing for residential design standards for poor Jean Simmons. She's such a sweetheart. Simpson, she's our chair for the Planning Commission. And we haven't had residential design standards for decades. And so sometimes that has led to unusual developments coming into the city of Sherwood. Technically, they do qualify and check all the boxes, but do they always fit? Well, I think it's okay to have diversity, even in housing. But at the same time, there are some minimum requirements that now finally that's going to be in place. Economic opportunity analysis is going to be approved tomorrow night as well, and that's part of the big comprehensive plan package, and that helps us identify how many local jobs do we think we're going to have, and do we have enough, all kinds of things. And then of course the comprehensive plan, the big encyclopedia that it is, that we took 2.5-3 years, to work on. That's going to be approved tomorrow night as well. So, and if you guys want to tune in, we have some very interesting stuff on sewer rates, water debt refinancing. All the really super fun stuff is also going to happen tomorrow night as well. But don't be afraid, to reach out to me or anybody on the council that you feel like you can, talk to about concerns, in the city. As a citizen, if you see something and you think that's not just me, that's kind of a big thing, I'm concerned, then absolutely, let us know. Shoot it off to Kristen. She knows everything about the city and everybody. I think she used to be a city manager at some point, and she knows who to talk to, and to get the wheels rolling. So you are the eyes and ears, and get out into your parks, and just experience how wonderful they are. I can't wait to get on the Cedar Creek Trail. It's going to be so cool, and we are going to mark the spot where Kristen fell. With
just a stumble,
a bronze tennis shoe or something. I'm not sure what we're gonna with a little fish jumping out of it. It'll be so great. Anyway, any of you have any questions at all about city stuff? I know Keith is on the call as well, probably rolling his eyes right now, but he's the city manager, so he also knows a ton of stuff. So there he is.
Not really my eyes, but no.
I told you my role is just to come in like But anybody have any questions, anything at all?
I did want to say that we did used to have a walking group, the Mary Walkers.
Right. I thought we did.
Has anybody heard of the Mary Walkers? I have not heard about them doing anything in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
They used to participate in Adopt a Road. I'm not sure if they still do. They were older, but But yeah, it was a great walking group. They would meet at the senior center and go from there every Tuesday or Tuesday and Thursday or something.
Well, when the whole thing wraps around, you know, it kind of does to the refuge. We can maybe get the Friends of the Refuge.
Tammy says
involved.
they're not currently an Adopt a Road group.
Yeah,
So
she would know. She would know.
she would know. So if anybody wants to start, hey, well, no, David would make them run. I was going to say, anybody want to start a new Mary Walkers group, but David's would be jogging or running, and then expect people to be able to have conversations at the same time. He called me when he was running and he wasn't even breathing hard. I'm like,
It was a very slow run, just
A
for the record.
slow run.
I can't even walk up the stairs, probably walk and talk without breathing hard. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then I'll turn the time back over to Chair Hamer.
Right, great. Thank you. That was a good update. Thanks, Russell. We appreciate it. Okay. Last agenda item. Anything else to bring up for anybody?
I want to just talk a little bit, Steve here, in case anybody can't tell that, but I just, Russell's comments are very fitting and hit the mark most every time. And personally, I know I don't seem connected to any of that where I should be. And as a group, I know we're not connected to any of that to be able to step forward and do, I'm going to say step forward and do most anything. So I don't know how you get from where we are today to where we ought to be, but
yes, Steve, I agree. I think like they were saying, I think after the holidays, we should have a working group session. I think it should be in person somewhere, whether it has to be outdoors. I'm fine with that. If we should meet in, I don't know where, and if it's outdoors, like I said, so we don't have to have masks on, and then maybe take a drive around the parklands or whatever. I think we should definitely do that after the holidays.
yeah, I think we worked hard for a year and some months on a updated park master plan, and it's I hate to say it, but mine's sitting on a shelf and not giving it any thought. And how we get from where we are today to where we want to be in that plan. And I don't really know how you get what my role is in the whole thing, what council's role is, what staff's role is, and how I'm coming up on being on this board on 2 years, and I'm gonna say that maybe it's 3 years. I don't know. This COVID thing obviously has screwed everything up and made it so communication is not the easiest. But that being a good excuse, that's the only one I have. We're not there to be able to be a working group to take things forward to other people so anyway, that's where I'm at, and that's what I know, and how I deal with that, I don't know. So that's how we all have to get together and figure that out.
Yeah, I'll
Appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah.
I think if we became more activist, activist might not be the right word, but definitely proactive. The proactive Parks and Rec Advisory Board, PPRAB.
If we're thinking about meeting after the holidays, should we start planning now for something in January?
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah, and it may be, that we have our regular meeting on January 3rd, because that would be pretty soon to try to throw a work session together, and from there pick a date, or I can send out a doodle poll and see what availability is like. I don't know if people want to try to do a Saturday or an evening or an afternoon. I know that's difficult for some people with work and everything.
I think we should try to do a Saturday, because I think it would be do it in the daytime. So maybe the 8th or 15th of January, we could, depending on availability, we could meet up somewhere in the morning and drive to where we, have a discussion, then drive somewhere to check out various potential park plans and walk around. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm game.
But yeah, I think it'd be better to do it on a Saturday where we could do it in daylight, especially these days where the nights are so early.
Okay. Well, let me give that some thought, because I think a tour is great. I think just getting together is important. And, at some point we might want to even discuss, just do we just look at our project list and go from there? Or do we even want to talk about trying to have some outside help, a facilitator come in and help us kind of work through? We have a short-term plan and a long-term plan, but we could also consider doing something like that. And we may be able to work through it ourselves. So Brian, I'll touch base with you, or let's talk in the next week or so, come up with some different ideas. And it's probably going to be, more than a day. It's probably going to be a multi-step process. So we just need to think through the best order to do that. Continue to do some information gathering first, and then I'll get together. But I like the idea. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's good. Great. Any other thoughts on that, or any other items to bring up? Anyway, thanks everybody for calling in. We appreciate it. If there are no other items, we'll just call the meeting adjourned for tonight. We'll see everybody. Have a nice Christmas and New Year's, and we'll see everybody after the New Year.
Thanks, Brian.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Holidays.
Thank you.